via our website at a later stage. So Martin, I think I'll just hand over to you to get started.
Thank you, Suzanne. Yes, it is working. Good. Thanks very much for coming to this webinar and to see what it is that we've introduced into both the Eclipse S1000D application and the version 7 of Book Build. There are a couple of things that I will go through which are specifically S1000D, but a lot of the additions that we put in have greatly enhanced how we get how books are produced, if you like, from Book Build, but the base functionality still affects the S1000D application. So what we're going to do is to look at a brief outline of what Book Build can do, the Eclipse application, particularly to look at the common phrases part, which is a function which is there in all of the S1000D books, and it's for all the issues of S1000D. Some of the features that we've got are actually not for all of the various issues of S1000D. So we'll be looking at the common phrases part, particularly tables, which is the latest bit that we've added, which really does make life a lot easier for using, particularly in groups of people. The IPD layout, we've added another mechanism for changing the layout, but we won't look at that particularly. And because some of the IPDs get particularly busy, shall we say, we introduced an ability to reduce the point size of the text. There have been general complaints that you can't see much text in the IPD tables, so we've dropped the point sizes down a couple to make sure that you can see what's going on. And we've actually enlarged the attaching parts asterisk because once again it's not easy to see actually what you can see on the screen. The standard asterisk at that size is not very good. And we've added an A4 page layout, which is again flexible, but that's a relatively minor thing. As far as Book Build is concerned, most of the enhancements are to do with extra functionality for linking things, and we're particularly proud, to be honest, of the ability that we've now got to add hotspots into PDF files. That's something that we've not been able to do before. Well, actually, to be truthful, we have been able to do it, but we've figured a way of doing it relatively straightforwardly, so that actually it is very good. And active links in IPD, you get something for nothing. It happens whether you switch it on or off. And active links between required spares and the IPD CSN lines. So, and a link to an external PDF file, which is particularly useful. So, a little bit about it. We continually try to improve on S1000D and the Book Build application. Some of it is our own thoughts, and some of it is wouldn't it be nice if you like, from clients. And we're always open to suggestions about what somebody might find useful. So in recent times we've introduced or enhanced the operation quite a lot, and sometimes we haven't said much about it, but I think this time, because the final output is going to be very useful for some people, particularly those who may not be involved in the aerospace and defence industry and have to provide the MOD or a defence organisation. So what we're going to do is to have a look at some of the features, but as we always say, if Suzanne is there for you, if you need to ask for more information or discuss other features about the application, get in touch with her, and her email address is there on the screen. So what have we done? We've increased the functionality to enhance the operation of Book Build, and we'll show the authoring enhancements first, which allow for changes in the Book Build presentation. So our main application, as some of you may know, is Eclipse S1000D for FrameMaker, and that's our authoring environment which plugs into Adobe FrameMaker. And for this presentation I'm using FrameMaker 2015. We've downloaded 2617 It works, but we haven't finished testing yet, so it'll probably be released maybe next week or the week after, but we will have to see if we have a hiccup somewhere along the line. And the Eclipse book build is the Mekon book creation application, which sits on top of the FrameMaker, the S1000D FrameMaker. But it might be worth having a quick look at what book build does for those who don't know. So what you can do with book build is to print a publication from S1000D data modules which aren't touched at all. Well, we open them, but we don't make any changes to them whatsoever. And you can divide the publication either into chapters or volumes and sections. It's a different word for the same thing, which can contain one or more chapters. You can have chapters which contain several data modules. There's some limitations on what you can mix and match, but basically it doesn't normally cause a problem. And you can nest the chapters to make them into decimalized numbering. We did a project for somebody, and I think it was 6 nestings of chapter number. It was very easy to do, and it was well worth the effort. So what does book build give us? Well, you can see on the left-hand side there, you can see on the left-hand side there, we've got the section breakdown. So you can have as many sections as you like, and inside each section you can have chapters or multi-data module chapters or nested chapters. That's all right. The thing about the numbering scheme, at the moment you see it says section 1, section 2, and then section N. If you want to miss out a section, perhaps your particular specification says you want section 3 and you're not going to use section 2, then you can actually make the next section, you can miss out section 2 and say you want the next section to be section 3, so that takes care of it. And in the right-hand part of this screen you can see the chapter numbering breakdown, and that gives you an idea. And the thing about the chapter numbering breakdown, it follows the same sort of idea that you get in the publication module. PM entry is the switch for adding chapters and nesting, if you like. You can, in the application, import the publication module, but be aware that book build has so many more functions and formatting options than the standard publication module that you have to spend a little bit of time adding functionality, if you like, to it, determining what you're going to look in the output. So what can you produce automatically? Well, you can either produce the front cover automatically or use the front matter data module. Preliminary material, things like list of abbreviations and preface and that sort of thing. Generated material, list of effective pages, table of contents, highlights, abbreviations, again, list index. You can generate that automatically from if the content is there in the data modules. List of tools, indexes, and list of acronyms, you can create those if you want. The list of tools and list of supplies and that sort of thing, you can arrange to have those all brought forward to tables and chapters at the front of the book so that you can see the whole gamut of those particular items that's required by the publication. Whether you have them or not, most of them are actually optional, of course. So the volumes and sections of preliminary material for each one can either be a table of contents and assembled materials list and that sort of thing. Which you use depends on your individual requirements. So what you can do is to populate the book file, which is the one that's used to drive the whole thing, by either importing a publication module. As I've said, you already need to do some extra work on that. A number of data modules simultaneously will give you the ability to go to the folder and pull in all the data modules you want to be included. You can sort them later on using drag and drop using FrameMaker. Or if you want to, you can import the data module singly. There are times when you want to add and not just a single data module. So what about the output? Well, you can send the output directly to a printer. Now, if you've got fold-out pages, then clearly the printer needs to be able to handle that sort of thing. Or you can produce a single PDF, which of course allows print on demand if you want to go down that route. And the thing that you should remember is that all the cross-references are hyperlinks. So you can use the output as an electronic book if you require. Or you can produce each chapter as a separate PDF file, and some of our clients are doing that so that they're able then to create updates rather than what we don't support is part page updating. we don't support that in this particular version of book build. So our clients just say, okay, we're going to send chapter 3.4 to them, and that's the update. So what we'll do now is to swap over to our version of book build, over to FrameMaker, because I want to show you some of the things that you can do in FrameMaker. So what I've got here in the left-hand window is a data module. And what I want to do is to show you how easy it is to copy a table, store it, and then bring it back later on. And we do this using a feature that comes with FrameMaker, our Eclipse FrameMaker application, for nothing. You don't have to pay for it. It's built in if you install it. And what we've got is what we call the Data Reference Manager. And basically what this does is it enables you to do a whole raft of extra work-related features which help you to speed up the way it works, speed up your production of data modules, increase the accuracy of the data modules, and other things like that. So what I want to do is to show you briefly how that works. And what we've got here is the front panel. You can see I have several projects on here. Each project, the application works by detecting the modulic of the data module that you've got open, and then that switches in whichever data you've got. So if I say modify that one, so what we've got here is a list of functions that this particular database does. You can put in reference to data modules, references to technical publications, graphics, support equipment, consumables, spares, technical information repository. That's to enable it. So we do support using these external files which have got warnings and cautions in, or spares, and that sort of thing. So we do actually cover that in the application, but that's been in for some little time now, so we're not looking at that particularly today. You can set up applicability using it, common phrases, and that's the bit we're going to be looking at in a moment, and required conditions. So those are all the functions that actually are enabled for the S1000D bike. We've actually populated, and when you do actually install the application, it comes with all these data modules, so it will work. So what I want to do then is to show you, it's well worth setting this up. And I should say that the database table that links each one of these applications, they're individual database tables, and you can put them on a network if you want, so that actually anybody using the application, our application, can find where it is and use it. So you only need one copy of the database, so everybody can use the same source data. So it's all consistent. So what I want to do is to move on down this data module and come down to the point where there's a table. There's the table there. And what we do is to very simply just right-click the mouse, and it says copy phrase to the clipboard, and that's precisely what it does. And if we then go to the application database, and what we're going to do then is to select the bike particular one, and what we want to do now is to copy that phrase into the database for future use. And it comes up with a simple screen, large table, and we just paste in what we've just copied, add it to the database. It already exists. I didn't delete it. Sorry about that. That's all right. I don't want to put that in then. Let's close it. It's already in. So what we want to do now then is to prove that it works, is to go to another data module and paste it in. So I've got another data module here. It's virtually empty, and I'm going to paste in that information. So select insert common phrase, and we're going to go to the large table, click on insert, and in a moment or two the table that we've just had in the other data module is inserted. honest. There it is. So if we go back to the original one, there's the table there, and there's the one we've just pasted in. So in other words, that data module has now got a clone of the original table. This was particularly relevant because not all that long ago, somebody said, is there any way that we can actually, we have a regular table which is used, and it's called fits and clearances, and it's a table which is used in a lot of areas. Now, they could, I suppose, have had that in a separate data module in the normal way, but this will suit what they need to do. They want that table in the actual data module because they always want to make small changes to it. But so that could be the fits and clearances with the base information in it, and they just make the necessary changes. So that's very easy, as you can see, to implement. One of the other things, let me just show you something else that could be useful. If I put in a paragraph there, right, now if I at that point right-click and insert another common phrase, what I want to do is to insert the emphasis table. Let's see what I've done. One of the beautiful things about FrameMaker is that if you put in an extra element, you can just unwrap it and it puts it in there. And what I've done here is I've created a paragraph which has got emphasis in it. So you can see that we've got the bold, we've got the underline, and actually that's supposed to be italic. If I do a complete build, it will show it as italic. What I have this set to is that when I open up a data module, it doesn't do a build, so it doesn't do things like the table of contents, all of which take time. There's no need most of the time to actually have a table of contents, and as you know, probably there's no space in the S1000D data module for a table. You have for table of contents, so it has brought it in this time, but you don't have to have it so that it builds it. So it speeds up the bringing in of the various items. So that's, if you like, something that affects really only the authoring environment of S1000D. What I want to do now is to actually reduce the size of that a bit and open up a book that was created from this series of data modules that I've used for this presentation. So the first thing I want to do is to show you something which we've actually introduced, which is quite useful. When S1000D was first brought in, it was quite good, but a number of us, bear in mind this was very early on, said this is very good, but what about linking all this lot together? How does it all work together? We're talking about issue 1.6 now, and bit by bit the functionality of S1000D has improved. So as part of a project that I was involved in for the MOD, we had created an interactive electronic technical publication, and we had to create a system for bringing in warnings and cautions. So we didn't have the storage system, the TIA system. So what we've got here is almost what we did, and this has been requested by one of our clients. What we've got is within this data module here, we have a warning element which contains just a reference to another data module. Because the other data module has got a warning in it. Ignore this bit here because I put that in afterwards. So what we've got is the warning, and that's what the purpose of the data module is, 012. That's the information code for warnings. So we've got that there. And when you do the build on the book, it's brought it in, as you can see. So it's automatically brought that in. So what we're doing is following the basic tenets of S1000D, have the information once and reuse. So what you've got here is the ability to have standard warning and caution data modules and access them just by having a reference to a data module. It's probably, honestly, it's probably easier to do it this way, which is very easy to use, than it is to use the TIA system. if you're using S1000D within your environment, and you're not likely to pass the files on to anybody else, which is the fact with a lot of our clients. They're asked to produce PDF files, then that's fine. So that's what we can do there. So automatically that has brought in the data module from the data module. That was a warning data module. So what have we got now? We've got an extra function for references to data modules which aren't actually part of the current book. Now this has been a problem in the past. Let me get rid of that. I don't want that one anymore. So what does that mean in terms of we want to refer to another book which is a PDF file? Now there is a way, I suppose, of saying, well, what we're going to do is to refer to another technical publication, which is fine, but it doesn't give you the ability to open it up automatically unless you've done something special about it. So what we've got then is the ability to refer to another data module in our application just by quoting the data module code. Now that is a RefDM. So what it does is at build stage, it actually recognizes that because we give it a lookup table which says when you see this data module code, go and get this file. So what I'm going to do is to show you here how easy it is. As you can see, all the links here are in blue, and that you can set that to be any color you like, provided you can see it, of course. So what we've got here is it says, let's increase the size of it. Remove the rear wheel, refer to that. So if I now click on that, it will open up the relevant data module or the relevant book in another browser window, and there we have, that particular one is rear wheel remove procedures, which is what we're asking for, and there's the rear wheel information for you there. So what we've done is we've given it a lookup table, put in a reference data module to the data module that you actually wanted, and the file that it can be located in, and it will go away and find it and then bring it in. So that's another function. You clearly have to do that. Now, one of the other functions that we've incorporated into our book program is one of the problems that you have if you've got spares or other items. You may not know the full details of them. So in the required, in the preliminary requirements, we have a spares table here, and what we've got here is actually, because the parts list is included in the book, for nothing, if you've used the CSN reference, it will generate a link to the parts list. And you can see here that we've got a part number, IT001, and it's the inner tube. So what we can do then is if we now click on this, it will go to the parts list. There's 010, and inner tube wheel. So you can see that if you've used the CSN reference, you get this for nothing, and this makes the book so much more interactive. One of the things that I want to introduce now is the fact that we have been waiting quite a long time for the ability to show hotspots on PDF file illustrations. And we've been waiting and waiting and waiting, and it hasn't come, the ability to do that. So we've had to introduce it, and we've done it quite well, actually. And what I want to show is actually the table created for us. We have here a parts list where we actually have introduced the hotspot element into the graphic, and it links to the parts list. Now the parts list has got the CSN automatically as part of it. So what we're doing here is adding links from the parts list illustration to the actual table itself. So if I click on, I don't know, 3, it goes down and it brings 3 in. If we go back, we can do it to any of them if you like. So I don't know, 2, and it brings it into 2. And it's bringing it offset because I've got it set magnification set so that you can see it easier where you're sitting. Now the thing is, this is now bidirectional. If I click on 0, 0, 0, it will go to 0, 0, 0. So what we've got here is a bidirectional link between the parts list and the graphic. Now, wherever you've got that link between an internal reference or a CSN reference and a graphic where you've populated the hotspot, that functionality is there. You get that automatically. But of course, you've got to have the data actually stored in the data module itself for that to work. However, one of the things that we have done, which you get automatically, come on, there we go. This is subtly different in that this is another one of these bits that you get for nothing, if you like. What I'm going to do is to go down to the table. And these have been detected as cross-references automatically. And what we can do is to click on there, on 002 in this case. Let me bring down the magnification a bit. Right. So if I go to 002 again, it will go to 002, which is there. So it puts it either at the top or wherever it is going to be located. So and you can, as part of the application, actually as part of the base application, you can adjust how much magnification you give it. And if we look at that screen there, which is called automation features, you can change the color of the links and you can change the zoom. So it depends on your personal conditions as to actually how far you want it to go. So we've zoomed it here to 200 because often graphics are quite busy and it's worth going in and it's worth putting a bit more on there. So as you can see, once again, that is something that you get really for nothing because it's so useful. Even if you don't put in the information from the actual graphic itself to the parts list, it will work fine. The other thing that I want to show you is S1000D says we want the chapters to be called chapters. I mean, I know that's stating the obvious a bit, but some of our clients are saying, well, we don't want them to be called chapters. Our specification says they should be called something else. So what we've done then is to give you the ability to decide, actually, what are you going to call these extra bits? What are you going to call it? So what I did was to run the same book, but with it set to actually, instead of chapter, call it a part. So that's part 1.1. That's part 2.1. So you can see that it's exactly the same files, but you just define it in a separate way. And that's very useful, and it gives you the ability to tailor-make, if you like, what you want to do because of your end client or your internal specification. I should say also, and I did mention it earlier on, that here we got part 1 and part 2, but if you don't want part 2 because your spec says you shouldn't have part 2, then you can renumber the subsequent chapters in the book build file, and it will then renumber or start numbering from the number you say you want it to be. So chapters, volumes, parts are all the same. You can actually determine the start numbering. The other thing that I think I want to show you at this stage is if I go up to the front of the book here, you can see that there's not much on there, but it's nicely spread across the front page. What we've introduced here is the ability, let me go and get the file that's relevant at the time. Right. what I'm opening here is what we call a book build file, and it enables you to determine quite a lot of things. It's got a lot of the options in for enabling you to do what you want. What you've just seen come up on the screen is when we do some things within book build, it creates a log file. When you're building the book, it generates a very comprehensive log file, and it tells you about reference data modules that you haven't seen and things like that. So if I scroll that up a bit, if I click on there, what we've got here then is in the right-hand window, that's the element for that. Now you can either have book build do what it wants to do for you automatically, or you can set, as it says here, the pre-space and the post-space. So in other words, it's up to you how far apart you want the things. The graphic element is a standard S1000D graphic element, so you can actually set how big it's going to be. And the equipment type, that's another element, and I've set that at settings which are roughly the same as the first one. And the book information is much smaller, and often you have that on the front cover, which is the copyright and the location of the where the company is based. So it's worth perhaps dropping down a little bit more here to come down to the options, because one of the options is actually, say, well, I like a logo on my book. So we give you the ability to have, well, I don't want to tempt Providence, but you can have as many logos as you want. We know one client has got 4 logos on a page. So what you have here is a logo element, and you define the left page, left, right page, right, left fold out left, right fold out right, the file that's going to be displayed, how far from the top it's going to be. The color refers to the background color. When we say white, then you don't see anything. And the height actually of the actual graphic when it's displayed. And you can see that at the top of the page. Decrease the size. That's a right-hand page, is it? Yes, it is. It's a right-hand page. Therefore, it's on the outside edge of the page, and there it is there on the left-hand side of the page. So yeah, one of our clients has got four logos displayed. I think as far as the current improvements, if you like, and extra functionality that we've created, that's as far as I want to go for this particular presentation. I don't like to be death by yakking. So if there's anything that you want to know, or if you've got a question that you can feed to us, I'm sure that we'll try and answer the question. If there's something that will take a bit longer, we're very happy to give you the ability to talk to us on a one-to-one, have a presentation. We can do it very easily, provided you've got a machine that you can connect to the internet. We can do it almost at any time. One of the things also I'd like to say about Mekon is that we have a very good support facility. We know that when somebody starts off with a piece of software for the first time, it does become a bit difficult to find out where things are and that sort of thing. And our support in the annual survey that we do, support always comes very close to the top of the features that our company provides. So thank you for listening. If you have any questions, please put them in there if I can find the question. So if there is anything, Suzanne, would you like to come in?
Yeah, just thanks for your time, Martin. And as Martin's already mentioned, if you have any questions, I know this was kind of catered more to people that already use our applications, but there is people that registered that don't currently do that. So if you want a more in-depth demo or have any specific questions, please feel free to contact us on the suzanne.berg@mekon.com. Anyway, thank you for today, and I hope you enjoyed the
questions there, I think, Suzanne. I can't quite read them.
I can't see any questions, so sorry.
There's a thing called questions.
Yeah.
No, I can't quite read the first one. Right. The second one, yeah, a common phrase include a graphic. Now, I'll be honest, I'm not sure. I haven't tested that one, and that was what I was going to do next week. because the table feature I don't see any reason why it shouldn't. It's a question of putting the right information in at the top. So I'll make a note to do that next week. Try graphic. I can't read the next bit. Oh, I think it's the same one. Yeah. Can a common phrase include a graphic? So that's my answer at the moment. I haven't tested that one, so I need to make sure whether you can or not.
Okay. That's that. I can't actually see questions at all, Martin. So
Oh, right. Sorry.
if that was
Okay.
it, then that's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us for this quick session. And yeah, hopefully we'll talk to you soon.
I'll stop the recording now, and then we'll
Yep.
see what it's like and perhaps put it on the website. Thank you for listening. Bye.